Wake up your lungs. So from all things that human body gives us, in my perspective, the lungs are my favorite. Why? Because the lungs are the only organ that you can use being conscious. You can't be conscious of your brain, your liver, or your stomach, or anything else. We can't even imagine such a concept. But if I will ask you to be aware of your breathing in the next 30 seconds, like to taste every breath, you'll be able to control everything, to control the amount of oxygen you take, the air you take in your lungs. You will be able to control the amount, how much you hold the breath, or anything else. So I soon discovered that from your lungs you can control everything else. So this is why we can control only our lungs conscious, because with that you will control everything else. I just want I practice walk breathing from 9 to 10 months right now. I'm not sure, something like that. And I have to tell you, this thing, it's amazing. We normally breathe in our upper chest, where are the panic receptors. And this is why we are always, on fear. But if we will pay attention and do diaphragmatical breathing and breathe in our lower lungs of our lungs, we will get control of our mode, and eventually we will relax. So I started practicing walk breathing 1 year ago, and like every beginner in the start, without knowing what to expect, it's normal to feel dizzy. You take 10 breaths. This is how you start this thing. You take that 10 breaths and you start to feel dizzy, and it's available for everyone who don't practice this right now. Why you feel dizzy and uncomfortable after you take 10 breaths? It's because your body, your brain don't have a way to process that extra amount of oxygen that to give to your body. So if I will be a beginner right now in this thing and I will start like 10 to 12 breaths, I will feel easy dizzy. This was happening to me in the start, but everything comes with progression. And applying this method, in the first day I took about 10-15 breaths, feeling dizzy. The next day I took 2 sets of 15 breaths. Again, the same feeling, dizziness and uncomfortable. The third day I took a bit more, 3 sets of 15 breathings, and so on every day, until in 3 weeks, in just 3 weeks, in my case personally, the dizziness mood disappeared. So my body right now trained to process that extra amount of oxygen. How my body processes that extra amount? Think about this way. Someone who starts smoking for the first time will feel the same, will feel bad after that cigarette. Why? Because their body is not used to that substance and don't have a way, don't have adapted, is not adapted to process that thing. But after a while, after 2-3 weeks of smoking, someone will experience pleasure when he smokes, and the effect, the bad mood after the cigarette will be minimized. So what we can learn from here, our bodies always develop a way to process what we put inside. So after just 3 weeks of practicing walk breathing, I went to a point where I was aware of my breathing, of my breaths, 3 minutes per day. And maybe you think right now, okay, 3 minutes is not too much, but just think about it. 3 minutes per day of walk breathing is 3 sets of 40 breaths, 40 deep breaths. After just 3 weeks of practicing this every day, you will not feel dizzy anymore. Something will change in your body, because right now your brain finds a way to process that extra amount of oxygen that you push into your veins, you know, poof. And suddenly you discover a new feeling that is, I can compare it with that perfect espresso, you know. If you are a bit tired, a bit sleepy, and you just want to refresh yourself, you drink an espresso on your empty stomach, an espresso with a good setup. And how is that feels for you? A good espresso or a good black coffee with no sugar, it feels for you. So it's exactly the same thing. After you take 40, 50 breaths, you will feel the same, because you just change your chemistry. You see, our lungs are really special, and ancient Romans used to say that we breathe our thoughts. Every time I want to change my mood, every time I want to increase my resistance, every time I get into transition, like going with the subway. We all know how bad is the air in the underground, or other environments where the air is not good. Before I go in any of those environments, I take sets of deep breaths. Why? To ensure a high quality dose of oxygen. If in my very start, in the very beginning, one set of breaths, 10 breaths, and after that feeling of dizziness and uncomfort, after 3 weeks, I discover that I feel totally energized, that my mind function clear after every set of breaths, because I just got a way to incorporate that extra amount. But you have to keep in mind this thing. I talk about the beginning and after 3 weeks. But in this very moment, I am at 9 or 10 months of doing this thing, of doing breath work almost every day, especially in those days. But nowadays, I pay attention to my breaths about 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 60 minutes per day. Yes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes per day. I am aware of every breath that I take. And I make sure that in those 30 to 60 minutes to take inside amounts of oxygen that I normally breathe in 20 hours, 40 hours maybe, because the difference between a normal breathing and this in a total of 30 to 60 minutes per day. It's 40-50 times more. 60 to 30 minutes per day, and I ensure that I breathe double or triple or the 4 times the oxygen that is available normally for someone who don't practice this thing. This is why I really want to put you on this path, because it's amazing. Wherever you will ask or wherever you will look about this concept, you will always find the same thing. It's amazing. Okay, but right now maybe you think, why I should breathe 30 minutes to 60 minutes per day? For what? Okay, I got it. After 3 weeks you will feel a bit energized, and your body adapt into a way to use that extra amount of oxygen. But 30 to 60 minutes per day to do this repeatedly, that's insane. And I agree with you, it's insane. But you can apply that thing in ways. The best thing with breathwork is that you never have to make a setup. I never have to prepare myself for breathwork. There is only one thing to respect. You have to be outside. If you are outside, doesn't matter if you are in the city or into a beautiful forest like this, that's okay. You have your nose with you, your lungs, and you are ready to practice breathing. If you are inside in the middle of forest, it's even better, because the birds will be your friends and the air, it's much better here. But doesn't matter if you are in the city, you just have to be outside. I stay away from indoor oxygen. I don't need that. Never. Indoor oxygen, I don't agree with those events who take place indoors. I think it's madness. A wonderful event of breathing should take place right here. See? There is super dense vegetation everywhere around us, and you feel the smell. Every time I go into the forest, you feel the smell of the air is different. Why? There is not only oxygen, or I don't know the chemistry or something else inside. There is the soul of the trees and vitamins and many minerals and many other things. So every time you will take a set of breaths like this, you will not feel dizzy anymore. You will feel super energized, and it's something that you compare with cocaine. Maybe. I haven't did too much cocaine in my life, only few times. I don't have to hide here, only a few times in my life. And I was lucky to do this thing like 5-6 months ago, when I was already doing breathing control. And I discovered that it's the same thing, or maybe less. If I will take some cocaine right now, I will not feel that energized. How I feel after taking, 60 deep breaths. 60 deep breaths in my lungs will entirely change my mood in ways that I don't know. This is gold, man. This is gold. This is one of my favorite setup to spend my Saturday afternoon. When you use this thing like 1 hour per day, don't get me wrong, split it to different sections. 6 to 12 sets of 5 minutes of breathing per day. This kind of improvement and this kind of results come after hard work, because my body right now don't use that oxygen only to get energized and feel refreshed. It's not only that, because I was keep pushing and pushing oxygen daily, every day pushing myself. My body started to develop new ways to use that extra amount of oxygen. This is why for example, after I eat, I know that lots of blood and lots of resources lots of energy will go through my digestive system. And because of this, I will make sure to send with that blood and those resources an extra amount of oxygen. So after I eat something, there are 5 minutes of deep breathing. So it's like a healthy cigarette. You can. How we can train our breathing, how we can train that muscles, our diaphragmatical muscle, and this is what I will explain right now. First of all, in the very beginning there were no trainings available. I didn't know what to do or how to train my lungs to get better. But after some time I discovered that there are some ways. There are really nice ways to literally, but in the best way possible, fuck up your lungs and upgrade them. I will start with the easiest one and the most healthy, if you ask me. Sprints. Go in the park and take a sprint. Take a sprint until you will be like 70%, 60% consumed. So on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 means really hard and 0 means chilling. You have to be somewhere at 6. Do not feel uncomfortable. But after 100 meters sprint, you have to pay attention to your lungs as part of the training. So you go, take that sprint, 100 meters, as I told you, 70% from your potential, and at the end of it, you have to make sure that you control your breathing and you literally taste the air. The air becomes delicious. Hey, good morning. It's a lovely Sunday morning, and right now I will show you how to train your lungs, making a depth of oxygen through sprint. So I want you to know that right now I am into a normal BPM rate. I just wake up 1 hour ago, haven't eaten anything until now. I am just chilling. I will run slowly in that direction, and after that I will come into a sprint and I will stop right here. What you will see is a depth of oxygen. I want to show you how I manage to control my breathing and take long and deep breaths after that sprint. And this is how you take a sprint only for your lungs. So you have to understand that it's not about that sprint, because you take it at 70% from your potential. It's all about how you control the depth of oxygen within your body. Another interesting way to train your lungs is to over-inhale oxygen. What I mean with over-inhale oxygen is to just push the ramification, the ends of that bit. So an example would be like this. You fully, as you normal, take the air in, expand your lungs, and at the end you hold the air and swallow like 5-6 mouths of oxygen. This kind of training, it's recommended for me with lots of patience and looking for progression every day. Your first day will have to be like only 2 of this and so on. You will see how you feel the pressure inside your lungs. I use this kind of training as a stretching exercise for my lungs, because as you swallow the air, you literally feel the pressure all around. If you don't have a park around or a place to sprint and get some fresh air, if you just have a small garden in the backyard, you can try an aerobic hit. And what I mean with aerobic hit, just move like a headless chicken. Make any kind of exercise that you have in your mind. Not to work a specific area, but just to make that depth of oxygen and breathe after. So I will demonstrate how to go exactly in that state and how I will manage to control every breath after I will make that depth. So, and go. Yes.